Good afternoon. It's the 24th of September, and I am way behind in providing updates on my journey with ALS. I apologize for this. I just don't have enough hours in the day. Things that were seconds to do before take me minutes and multiple minutes. Um, so, from a perspective on the progress of the disease through my body, I'm still quite lucky that it is isolated to my arms. If you've been following along, you'll know that the weakness started in my shoulders and my deltoids. It has now moved down into my biceps. My biceps, there's not much left there. My forearms, there's some weakness in there, and it started to move into my fingers a little bit. My ring finger and my middle finger on my right hand, and my index finger on my left hand. Uh, Not really a weakness. They just decide they don't want to play along anymore, so they'll seize up. I'll be where it's most apparent to me is when I'm typing. Um, I'll type away, and then these two fingers just stop. Um, so trying to write anything in the computer ends up me doing hunt and peck type stuff with these two fingers dragging along the keyboard, hitting buttons I don't intend to. But in the terms of ALS, it still appears that I have the bibrachial amyotrophic diplegia, which is that slow moving version that could sit in my arms for quite some time. We had an appointment last week at the ALS clinic at Mac with my doctor, Dr. Gladman, and Nurse Barb, and did the kind of standard testing that we do when I see him. I don't see him very often. We were there for an appointment at the beginning of June, and last week at the beginning of September, or midpoint of September, whatever it is, was our most recent appointment, and my next scheduled appointment with them is in March. So, really, when you get to the doctors, it's more a monitoring thing, other than discussions about pharmaceuticals and um, exercises and diet and things like that. There's really, at least in my case, not a lot that they can do other than monitor and make suggestions to me about, living, exercise and things like that to try and slow down progression. But it is rather frustrating. The system itself, and I understand all of this. It's like a triage thing. ALS is a brutal disease that typically, 3 to 5 years, 80% of people that are diagnosed with ALS die. So for me to have a slower moving version, there isn't a lot that they can do for me. The system is more set up to assist those people that are dying more quickly than it is to help me find ways to keep living. Like I said, I understand that. It's just frustrating. Um, to that regard, we're still very creative, trying to find ways to help me keep doing things. I still swim through the course of the summer. I, was more in friends' pools. I haven't been to the Gretzky Center for a while. Part of that is because we've got all these outdoor pools and places where we get to enjoy the company of our friends while I get to work my arms a little bit in their water. And the other part is it's just to go into the gym or the pool on my own. It's just hard to get changed, dry your back with a towel when you can't lift your arms around your back and things like that. So in the coming months, as the weather cools, it's going to be another set of figuring out new stuff to do, which is what every day is. Every day I notice something that has become more difficult to do and have to adjust how I do them. So it's like I said, it's frustrating with the system, but we're continuing to move along and fight the good fight and continue living as normally as I can. So from that, my arms, it's difficult to lift my arms. You see I've cut off all my hair because, washing my hair became a pain in the ass. So it's easier when you just need a little bit of shampoo and you can kind of rub it under the shower. Bought myself a shower chair so that I can sit there and, reach down and clean stuff. I've lost some weight, which I shouldn't be doing. I've lost weight in my waist, which is awkward, because cinching up a belt has become difficult. So now, you can't see them, but I've got suspenders. I wear suspenders with everything now. For the most part, I keep them under my shirt because I'm still vain and don't want to be wandering around looking like a 90-year-old man with my suspenders, but still laugh at it. I was very lucky. We went away camping with our annual guys trip last weekend. 27 of us go up in the middle of nowhere and eat like kings and drink like fools and laugh and play guitars and have an awesome time. With my limited movements and stuff, the guys were fantastic, and I got picked up and was given space in a friend's trailer for the weekend. And thank you, Brian, everybody else that was there that made it very easy for me to come on that trip. That was awesome. From a mental health perspective, I'm still good. I'm stuff like the disease. I can't control what it's going to do, so that I don't really get too wound up about it. It's going to do what it's going to do. The thing that has been most difficult for me, and this is a pride hubris type deal, but opening myself up to accept the help has been very difficult. Continues to be difficult because it's just not me. I've always tried to be the guy on the other side asking what we can do to help people. And now that people want to help us, and it's the most awesome feeling in the world to have people that want to help you. It's been very difficult, and I'm learning how to accept that help and try and say thank you to those people the best way I can. I know they're not doing it because they want me to say thank you. They're doing it out of the goodness of their hearts, and I have the best community in the world, the best group of friends, the best group of everything. But for me, that's been the hard part is learning how to accept that help and assistance, and learning how to say thank you to those people meaningfully and properly. What else we got? My therapy on a budget machine. I'll include the little video. Part of the weakness in the arms, you want to keep your arms moving to avoid getting frozen shoulder. I don't know exactly what frozen shoulder is, whether it's all the tendons or what it is seizing up, but apparently it's quite sore when you get it and hard to get rid of. So part of my daily routine now is using what we're calling the therapy on a budget machine, and I'll include the little clip in here. Essentially, it's ropes and pulleys with handles. And at the onset, I'd put the ropes and stuff up in the garage, and Tracy and William would grab the ropes and walk out a little bit, and my arms would go up in the air, and it was great. I was considering how to motorize it, how to automate it a bit, and I was going to get a big wooden circle cut and put it on a motor. Most great ideas happen over a beer, so we were having a beer with Harold and Cindy out at Steel Wheel, and Harold's, well, I've got a garage door opener I'm not doing anything with. So hopefully you can see in the video, Harold, with his ingenuity, came over, measured up, cut, welded brackets and things, and then mounted this garage door opener on the wall vertically in the garage. So I use what would normally be the wall button. I use that as a foot pedal, and the door opener starts opening, pulls my arms up in the air. Hopefully you can see that well in the video. Work, I'm still at the shop daily. I'm less effective than I used to be. My mind, as I said, my mind is 100%, but I've got this disconnect where my body says, yeah, fat chance. So things like responding to an email that used to be a minute thing now take me 15. Setting up the little tripod with the light for this and getting my phone on there, getting it plugged in. Normally, something I didn't think about, it just happened. Today, that took me 15 minutes to figure out how to get this thing plugged in, how to get my phone on that little spring loaded thing, and ended up putting it over on its side so that I could work downwards on it. Drugs, from the pharmaceutical side, I'm not taking any drugs as yet. I've got to send in my application to the Ontario Trillium Fund, which is the provincial coverage for drugs, for rare cases like mine. When I get that, I've got prescriptions for 3 drugs currently: Riluzole, another one called Albrioza, and another one called Radicava. I think I'll start with the Riluzole. The Riluzole is the most common of them. I'm in a bunch of forums with other people that have ALS, and there's a lot of discussion about the side effects and how people feel when they start taking Riluzole. So I was on the fence about that. The intention of the drug is to slow down progress, but from a lot of the stories where people take the drug, they become lethargic and just generally feel like a bag of shit. I don't really see the point of taking a drug that'll slow things down and be life extending, only to feel terrible when you're on them. So there's that. In that discussion with Dr. Gladman last week, he said, look, you can start them. If you have those side effects, you can stop them. So I think that's what'll be next is the Riluzole, and I'll figure it out from there. More to come on what's going to happen with drugs. We talked about weed. I asked him, I said, it's legal in Ontario or in Canada. I'm not a weed guy, but I asked him, I said, are there benefits to that? He said if I was having a problem with appetite, it would be a good thing, or could be helpful. If I was having trouble with sleeping, also could be helpful. Not things that, I'm still eating and sleeping no problem, so weed's not really something I'm gonna go, every now and then, but that's more a party thing than do it for the effects for ALS. We talked about mushrooms as well. He didn't say there were any. He didn't suggest that there were any benefits, but he did say that there's lots of ongoing new research with mushrooms. So I told him I'd try them out and let him know. Tried them out, had a great party. Didn't really do anything for ALS. Enjoyed myself, but mushrooms for ALS. Didn't really see any benefit for the disease. Still planning on doing my podcast. I've I think very creatively called it ALS, but in the Canadian way, it's EHLS, and the idea is that it'll be a podcast about Canadians living with ALS and the experience of the disease in Canada specifically. Hopefully speaking to other Canadians and speaking to people inside the medical community. Really, anybody's got a great story that we can discuss about their journeys with ALS or ways that they work with the disease. Part of the reason that is kind of stalled on me is this damn typing thing. Just not enough hours in the day. The rest of us, I think Tracy and the kids are doing well. It's a lot different than it was 6 months ago. That things have sunk in and we've settled into a routine, an ever-changing routine, but a routine. And we're learning how we all live with this disease. It is a family disease, so we all live with it together. Although it's physically impacts me, it much more drastically mentally impacts Tracy and the kids. So I think they're doing very well with it. We do go and see a grief counselor, Jen, who's a grief counselor at the hospice in town. Jen has been great. Um, Tracy's been to her a few times. I've been a couple of times. We went together. We have another appointment coming up. Uh, Jen, as a professional, is there to. This is what she does. She helps families that are dealing with terminal illness and helps them grieve, helps them understand how to grieve, helps them understand how to get through the next day. So she's very, very helpful. If that's one thing that not really apprehensive about. I just wasn't high on my list of things to do, but I'm very happy that Tracy talked me into going, and that we can go and do that together and speak about some things that when we're sitting around the house that we're maybe not comfortable to speak with each other about, and Jen helps facilitate that and brings out those discussions and helps you get through some of them. So she's been really good. If there's somewhere along the line where you're struggling with something like that, reach out through your system to try and get in touch with somebody, a grief counselor that's been very helpful to speak through things. Voice banking. I'm part of a group called ALS Action Canada now. We have a group Zoom call every 2 weeks. Um, Again, it's a patient-driven organization, and in that Zoom call, it's a bunch of people with ALS speaking to each other about where they are, making suggestions to help each other. Um, there was a fellow on there last week who's having difficulty with his voice now, and he had said that he was kind of annoyed at himself for not having started for not having done a voice banking thing earlier. That's something I've got to look to in the next week or two. Voice banking is essentially an electronic system where you record yourself, and through the machine, um, it's got a copy of your voice, so that if you get to the point where you can't speak anymore, um, the computer sounds like you. So you find ways to um, get the input in electronically what you want to say, whether it's through touch or eye gaze or something like that, and then the voice that comes out of the computer is um, as close as can be to your voice. So there's that. That's something I've got to get on. And the last thing I want to mention is my, as I mentioned earlier, my awesome friends have been doing great things for me. Scott and Schultz and a whole bunch of other people have come together. They're putting on a fundraising event that for us, for our family, uh, and it's going to be an awesome night. I mean, there's going to be music. Tyler Wilson's going to play. Shifty Dickens are going to play. Empty Hours are going to play. The guys from Happy Grillmore, which is a barbecue team, they're going to get back together and do all the food. It's going to be at the Knights on the 18th of November, Knights of Columbus Hall. Um, that's a pretty awesome thing that Scott and Schultz and the rest of the guys are putting together for me, for us. Um, it's cool. And I think that's about it for now. Again, apologize for taking so long to get this next update out. I'm going to try to be more frequent with these, um, but as things change, I can't probably there are other priorities that other stuff that comes up throughout the course of the day that stall me from doing all the things I want to get done. So if somebody knows of a way to add 8 or 10 hours to my day, that'd be champion. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you're all keeping well and do good things. Cheers.